what are these prayers, that you think we should pray or say, that would really move God? Like are there certain prayers we pray and God will be so moved?
There's no prayer that moves God. Go and do what God asks you to do. What are you looking for in prayer? What do you want to achieve with prayers? Move God to do what?
Well, going by if we're going by the definition of your prayer, how it shouldn't be
just
selfish.
Wish it. It's not like you are saying prayer and waiting for God to answer. Just wish it and leave it to the universe. From the little that you know, from the little observation and the pity that you felt at that time, wish it in prayer and move on with life. Nothing should move God for what? If you want to move God, go and sell all of your properties. Go and give out everything you need, get the money, and go and feed the poor. Go and take care of that's what will move God, not prayer. What are you praying for? Let's get it right. Let's reprioritize. So what do you want to achieve with prayer? That's the point. I'm not patient enough for you to answer that. So I don't know what you want to achieve that you feel prayer is the answer. There is nothing to pray about unless you remind me, what about this? Because he has told you, if you want this, do this. If you want this, do this. If you want this, do this. So what are you going to him for prayer for? What should he be moved about? The only thing that will move God, whether we now refer to this God as you know it, or the bigger God as I know it, the only thing that will move God is love. And you cannot hold to yourself all the properties of the world and claim that you love people or you love God. So if I reframe that question now to say, what is the one thing that you think somebody would do and it will move God, and God will say, to use that word move, it is for that person to, by knowledge, not just because I'm saying it and therefore I'm manipulating him to do it. No, not a third party. To by knowledge consider all of these things and say, yeah, okay. And by the resultant understanding, gather all his property and give to the needy, give to the poor, and then come back and continue to follow that knowledge.
Going by the book, like the Bible, like I would rather use, we know of places where Jesus actually went to pray. Having a private time, he would go and communicate to God. So, and also the part where ask and you shall be given, seek, find, knock, open. These are also means of prayer. Now, so what would you say about those? Jesus did a lot of good acts, but he also prayed.
Okay, so knock and it shall be open to you. Ask and you shall find. Is this physical knocking? Is there a door you must go and knock? And what makes you think that the asking has to be in prayer? So everything should be about giving. At the level of Jesus, at the level of that master, even at my own tiny level, when we talk about prayer, when we say prayer, what is meant there is not like, Father, do this, like we normally do when we go to, maybe my idea of prayer is different from your idea. All right? Like when we gather and we say, Father, you must do this for me now, otherwise, So at the level of Jesus and great teachers at that level, the only way, it's all about giving. The only way that you go to take from God is not prayer. It's a higher level of prayer. But of course, you may want to call it prayer if you don't understand what it is. It's called meditation. Meditation. All right? So we can as well talk about meditation. So, by the fear of God. But this fear of God is not like, the kind of fear you have for your father is different from the fear you have for a robber, a kidnapper, or somebody who has brought negative energy and wants to subdue you, or some some enemy pursuing you. You see that difference? So the
Mhm.
fear of Father is like reverence. Reverence, respect. So when we say fear of God, we mean reverence of God, not like you are afraid, as in negative fear. No, nothing negative in form of energy has to do with God. It must be without blemish for you to say this is God's. All right. So once you have knowledge and the fear of God, then you can come up to the level where this thing you call prayer, you can meditate. You can. So I said prayer is about others. Giving is about others. Everything else is about others. But through meditation, you actually get. So when you say you are communicating, in fact, meditation is deeper than communicating. Yes, it's communicating, but you are now in the presence of your God. But you don't get there at this level of, we don't even know what knowledge is. By the time you dwell in knowledge, and that knowledge reveals that, wow, this God is awesome. This God is so perfect. I mean, this bigger God. Yeah, maybe I should always differentiate between this God and that God, adding the term bigger. It's awesome. Look at the orderliness of situation. I did this, I got this. I did this, it came to pass as he said. Even my brother that was ill, because of the acceptance of this principle, look at it. No, you are now marveled at, wow, that is the kind of fear. And then when you come into his presence with this awesomeness in meditation, then you are welcomed in and you are taught. So that is where your knowledge graduates from just being knowledge to gaining understanding. And then when you gain understanding and all of these things that were hidden become known, then what happens? Power is released to you. And it's not just one time, it's not two times, it's a continuous thing. So you keep building all of this processed knowledge, what you are getting from the processed knowledge, in form of wisdom. So Jesus Christ's kind of prayer and the great teacher's kind of prayer is not prayer of, give me, I want this, I want heaven. Now that you are giving me this, I want the whole world. No. Our prayers are mostly around, we want the world. Somebody at the level of Jesus Christ cannot pray about, I want this, I want that. It's always about people. So if you do pray, as long as that prayer is about the world, for people, for this, what do I do for the world? How do I see the world? Then beautiful. So we're not saying, again, exclusively do not pray. We are saying, say the right prayers. And these right prayers were learned from the great masters, because there's no different teacher from their teacher than our teacher. It's the same teacher. And if not all the time, we need to compare what is now with what was, to say, oh, there is it's talking about the same thing essentially, even though the explanation may be from a different perspective, but it's the same thing. So that's where we may use those books as a reference, just to say, okay, basically the same. So if you say somebody went to pray, then why did he pray? Because he was saying the right prayer. So it's okay to say the right prayer. Very, very, it's effectual to say the right prayer. So don't waste your time saying the wrong prayer. And what is the wrong prayer? When the motive is about me. Whatever the prayer is, even if it appears to be good prayer, as long as the objective is self, it's not a good prayer.
All right.
Mm-hmm. So, I don't know what else I should say about meditation, but at the level of, there's a higher level. We talked about at the level of ignorance, the equivalent state in the physical, in the material is poverty. When you become, when you start to walk by your own intelligence, by your own education, by your own brain, and then you can move from poverty by the education that you gain to being comfortable, getting a good job. But If you want to move beyond that, the next thing is to practice principle. Then after the practice of principle, that can make you rich, make you more than being just comfortable financially, there is a higher level of being truly prosperous, flourishing. You remember we talked about that previously. I said to get to that level, it is no longer just about observing principle now. There's a higher level than observing principle. I would say that is meditation, where all of these principles are now constantly in your mouth, in your head, and everything you are doing is you are meditating. Meditating, knowledge is just flowing, just being released. And the wisdom, the power, the understanding, everything flows from knowledge. I mean, once you have knowledge, it's as good as you have these other things. Knowledge is the key. So at that level of meditation, you are above, you are very, very high. So when these people go and meditate, they may not use the word meditate, or what you still see is that they are locked up in a room by themselves and they are just in this sober mode where you would explain that they are praying. But there's a prayer that is deeper than prayer. That is meditation.
Okay.